Motor City Lions Talk. You know, it's your boy CJ Goodfellow. We back talking more Lions, more consistent Lions talk in 2017. And we're going to keep this ball rolling. And the Atlanta Falcons, A-Town, I guess, will stand up in the building at Ford Field this Sunday, 1 p.m. Who thought that the Lions would be 2-0? Who thought the Falcons would be 2-0? And let me explain that and talk a little bit Atlanta Falcons first. Because Atlanta Falcons was supposed to be the team that had a Super Bowl slump. Because it's always one team, win, lose, draw, whatever the case may be, that has a slump in a Super Bowl. You know, after a Super Bowl hangover. And people thought, oh, Atlanta barely got past Chicago. Our team is better than Atlanta or whatever it is. But you got to take into question that Atlanta's a dome team. When dome teams go outside, they're usually not that good. It's week one, less padded practices now, you know, and they do have to get over those hurdles of the deficit that they lost in the Super Bowl versus the New England Patriots. And they answered those questions, so mental fortitude week one. Chicago has a good defense when you're talking about Leonard Floyd and Willie Young, who used to be a Detroit Lion as well. They built their defense nice. Kyle Fuller. And they brought Prince Amukamara there. They front seven is nice and stout. Now it's dealing with some injuries, and it's mostly on the quarterback and a lack of weapons on the outside with the Chicago Bears is the issue this year. And a lot of people are up in arms about them not starting Trubisky, which if they start him, he's going to get murdered. They have nothing around him on offense other than Jordan Howard. And for the Falcons to go in there, you know, they did get a lucky pass downfield to Austin Hooper. I actually was watching the game at the time. And, you know, they got out. They did what they're supposed to do. And they got over that mental hurdle. They won. Then they beat Green Bay. And you hear, oh, Green Bay, they had a starting offensive tackles. That's the norm. That's the norm for Green Bay. Their offensive linemen is always hurt. They tackles Bartari and whoever else is starting at the left or right tackle. Michael Balaga, whatever his name was. It's always the norm. It's always an excuse made for the Green Bay Packers. It's always that excuse. Oh, Aaron Rodgers don't have this. I don't want to hear it. You know, at the end of the day, the Falcons beat them. They was healthy. They didn't have their offensive tackle. The Falcons lost their right tackle, lost Vic Beasley. Injuries happen. Last year, nobody was being sorry when the Falcons didn't have their number one corner, and Desmond Trufant, that's back now. Marcus Trufant, little brother. For those who are Seahawks fans or familiar with Marcus Trufant. And, you know, they always going to try to, and I'm saying this to give an overview of the Atlanta Falcons real quick, of what they've been through this season. And I'm saying this for the Lions fans. If we beat the Atlanta Falcons, they're going to try to diminish what we have done. They're going to try to undercut what we have done. And they've done that with the Giants and the Arizona Cardinals. These are two teams that people pick to win their respective divisions. People say, oh, the Giants have a great defense. Now they add in Brandon Marshall, which never been to the playoffs, any team he's been on. Oh, we're not worried about the offensive line. They'll figure it out. They'll find a way to run the ball. They now have to sign AP. Their defense is big time. We beat them, then it's all about, oh, they don't have enough. Every time certain teams that's not in that big media market do something, it's always an asterisk by it. But never when you see teams like the Packers, the Patriots, and the Giants, you know, teams that's in that class, you know, it's always excuses made up for them. But let's get into this. If you're not familiar with the Atlanta Falcons this year, same as last year on the offensive side of the ball, weapons everywhere. Good left tackle on Jake Matthews. I think their right tackle was out this week. He got injured in the Green Bay game. So Ziggy, if you haven't been noticing, has been moving all right, left in the defensive line. That's good. Getting better matchups. That's another adjustment Terrell Austin has made. But back to the Falcons. Tight end, they got athletic tight end in Austin Hooper, but he hasn't developed into the tight end that potentially they want him to become. We know Julio Jones is big time, and that's going to be an issue for Darius Slay in our secondary. Mohamed Sanu is big time working. He's mostly working underneath the crossing routes. He's definitely grown from a fourth receiver with Cincinnati to be the number 2 receiver that the Atlanta Falcons want and need and have to have. And watch out for a dark horse for you fantasy owners. The kid, Taylor Gabriel. He's very fast and elusive. He's a gadget player like Tyreek Evans with the Kansas City Chiefs. Very fast, good slot player. The end around screens to him. He potentially could be a deep threat. Something to watch out for. And then you have those two-headed running backs and Tevin Coleman and then Devontae Freeman, who usually handles the end tackle responsibilities and being able to bounce it outside as well. And Tevin Coleman is the change of pace back who loves to catch swing passes, run routes, run wheel routes, can pretty much line them out up in the slot if he wants to. But they don't do that too much and come out the backfield and become a matchup problem for any linebacker and and nickel corners as well. You talk about the Atlanta Falcons defense. It's predicated on speed. Everybody has speed. Keanu O'Neal, the safety, grew up last year. Deion Jones in the middle, I think his name is the middle linebacker, fast. Dontari Poe is a newcomer. A lot of people don't understand what he brings to that defense. He brings a guy that was a nose tackle with Kansas City that played the most snaps of any defensive lineman, I believe, or one of the most snaps in the league. And now they're cutting his snaps down a little bit. He's more of a pass rusher and made his presence known versus Green Bay last week. And he's a big key cog to that defense. And then you got Vic Beasley, who was out. So McKinney's going to step in, a rookie from UCLA. Robert Alford is a solid number 2 corner, but it's nothing to throw away from. The nickel, Poole, I don't know too much about him. Desmond Trufant is a good number 1 corner, but nowhere near shut down like Jack Rabbit, Janoris Jenkins, Chris Harris, or Talib, or Patrick Peterson, or Richard Sherman, whoever you want to throw out there. So I don't have to give you an overview of the Lions. We talk about them every week, but let's talk about strategy in this video. And the strategy for the Lions last week was Ebron and Golden Tate in the slot, which didn't happen for Golden Tate because Eli Apple moved outside. And some reason, the Lions got up. So Golden Tate, wasn't involved. I don't know if he was locked down. Marvin Jones made a play. We gonna need him to step up a little bit, be more consistent, because he's gonna be going against number 1 corners every week. He got a lot of potential. We're paying him a lot of money. But Ebron did show up last week, and I told you guys his matchup with Landon Collins and some of the linebackers was gonna be critical. He won enough and pretty much won us the game. But one thing I must say when we talk about our offense against their defense is the fact that we're gonna have to start game planning around Ebron a little bit more to make him a weapon. It seems like he wants to catch the ball this year, and we need to give him some more responsibility. But where you want to attack this week with the Atlanta Falcons is when I told you guys, they are predicated on speed. Ty Montgomery had some good matchups coming out the backfield with some of their outside linebackers and their middle linebacker catching the ball and running the ball, but we know Green Bay doesn't consistently run the ball. So what I would like to see the Lions do is pound the ball with Theo Reddick and Amir Abdullah. Amir Abdullah seemed to kind of find his little swag. He's still getting healthy from the injury that he had. But the way Theo Reddick hits the hole, if Abdullah can hit that hole like he did sometime in the New York Giants game, they're gonna be a problem. He has to hit the hole and stop tiptoeing. I think the Lions need to make it a known factor to ball control and hand the ball off to those 2 running backs. And if Zach Zenner come back, let's get him the ball as well and go straight up the middle versus these pass rushing tight ends. Brooks Reed is a linebacker that's playing in now. He's pretty small. Vic Beasley is out. McKinney, whatever, from UCLA. He ain't the prototypical run stopper. Dontari Poe is an issue in the middle, but he don't play that many snaps. And the other defensive tackle I'm not aware of. But I think running the ball, the Lions should have some success this week if the line progresses, that camaraderie progresses with the line. Let's give Robinson on the outside a chance to get in a groove of run blocking. And let's play action and get some of these young players on the Atlanta Falcons to bite. When you're talking about the passing game, I think it's going to be predicated on us running the ball, controlling the clock, play action, Ebron, out in the flats. Golden Tate going to have a favorable matchup in the slot. Kenny Galladay, Trufant and Alford is a longer corner, I believe, but I think Galladay can have some success. And I think it's a game that Marvin Jones should break out in. And we were talking about our strategy on the defensive side before I get into my score. I think is you have to stop the run first. Pay attention to Julio Jones. And, let's keep those running backs from getting yak. You have to pay attention to Julio Jones. Take him away. If you have to double him, whatever, put attention on him. Be prepared for him to move in the slot. Just keep an eye on him and stop the running game and let's get after Matt Ryan, because he's going to look for Julio first and foremost. So if we get after Matt Ryan and he looks at Julio as his first option, then we are going to be able to sack them with their right tackle being out. And I'm not saying their offensive line is all of that, because Green Bay had some success last week, and I look for us to have some success this week. I think taking away Julio, taking away the run game, and making sure tackles is very important. Hopefully Jared Davis plays this week. But I think it's a tough task. This is going to be a test to show if the Detroit Lions is real. Do I want to give a score? Absolutely not, because I don't know what to expect. But I feel like I'm obligated to give you guys a score. I'm going to say the Atlanta Falcons 31, Detroit Lions 24. I think we come up a little bit short, but I don't know what to expect, because the Falcons are a horrible road team. I just want to keep honest